Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we have Carabao Cup predictions for round 3. 32 teams is going to become 16 teams. It's going to be interesting to see which teams go through from this round. I'm joined by Sophie.
You alright?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Excited to be back. We've had so much football and there's so much more football to come. Guys, do make sure to drop a thumbs up to show this video some support. Let's go for 700 likes on this one. If you're watching, hit that thumbs up button. It's free to do, and do make sure you are subscribed as well so you see all of our videos when they go out. We've also got a vlog for the Coventry-Huddersfield game tonight, so do look out for that. And we've got live streams coming for some of the Carabao Cup action, and then Premier League and Championship predictions in a couple days as well. It's all going on. But let's get into the fixtures, Sophie. Let's start at Villa Park for an all-Premier League matchup between Aston Villa and Everton. Now, both got a very good result at the weekend. Villa ground out the 1-0 win at Chelsea, which we both predicted in the Premier League.
We did.
But
shout out.
Everton, 3-1 at Brentford. Fair play to them.
Fair play.
They've got a big game at the weekend in the Premier League against Luton Town. It's going to be interesting to see how serious these two sides take this competition. If we're being realistic, and I mean no disrespect to Everton, I think it's more realistic that a Villa could win this competition, whereas Everton, I think they could go far, but I don't know if they came up against a Man City, I don't know if they'd get through it. I think the objective is clear. Everton need to stay in the Premier League, and they've shown with that result at Brentford that they can do that, and I think the game against Luton Town at the weekend is so much bigger. Villa are at home for this one. I expect there to be quite a few changes for both. I'm going to edge Aston Villa 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to say another Villa 1-0 win. They just won 1-0 in the Prem, and I see them doing it again in the Carabao. I agree with you. I feel like Everton may not take this completely seriously, as their priority does need to be the Prem. But I see it being a low-scoring one, not too much separating the two, so just 1-0 for me. 1-0
to Aston Villa. Interesting. Right, Sophie, let's go to the next game at Ewood Park for an all-championship matchup, because it's Blackburn Rovers versus Cardiff City. Now, both come into it, if we look at their championship form, kind of contrasting form at the moment. Blackburn, I did say, were winning, losing, but they've lost a couple of games in a row now. Meanwhile, Cardiff City, 3 wins in a row. They beat Swansea City, and that must have given them so much confidence, because they beat Coventry 3-2 and then Sunderland 1-0 away on the Sunday. This is an absolutely massive game. Can Cardiff City get the result at Blackburn Rovers to progress to the next round, or will Blackburn? I'm going to go with the form team in the Championship. I know it's the Carabao Cup and there could be some changes, but there's more of that winning feeling at Cardiff, so I'm going to go for them to win 2-1.
Yeah, in fairness to Blackburn in this competition, they had a very heavy win against Harrogate, but it was against Harrogate, and I feel like coming up against Cardiff, they are, as you say, in very good form at the moment. They're coming in and into this game off the back of 3 wins on the bounce. Could they make it 4? Yes, I see it being a quite comfortable one as well. 2-0.
2-0?
2-0.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. Right, let's go down to the South Coast, Sophie. This time it's Premier League versus Championship as AFC Bournemouth take on Stoke City. Now, Bournemouth are still looking for their first Premier League win. They've drawn a couple, they've taken the lead in a couple, but they just can't seem to get the 3 points over the line. They take on Stoke City here, who are not really in great form in the Championship. Their run of results has seen them sliding down the table a little bit, and most recently it was a 3-1 defeat at home to Hull City. I think Bournemouth will win this one. I think they don't look bad in the Premier League, as we said. I think their first Premier League win will come soon. And yeah, they might as well try and lift the confidence with another win in this competition. They beat Championship Swansea in the last round. I'm going to go for them to win convincingly 3-0 against Championship side Stoke City.
I'm going for a similar scoreline. I'm going to say 3-1. See Stoke getting a goal, but I don't see them getting more than that, to be honest. As you say, with Bournemouth, they're not putting in terrible performances at the moment, so coming up against a Championship team that aren't in very good form could do them the world of good confidence-wise. So I feel like they're going to go quite strong in this one, and I see them winning 3-1.
3-1. Okay, next up, Sophie, I like the look of this one. We'll go up to Valley Parade for Bradford City versus Middlesbrough. Now, League 2 versus Championship, you'd think Championship side should get through this one, but it might not be that straightforward. It's the League Two side that are at home, and Bradford City 10 years ago in this competition were a League Two side, but got to the final, beating the likes of Arsenal, Villa, and so on and so forth. Can they cause a bit of an upset here to get to the fourth round? It's not impossible. They currently sit 11th in League Two. They've had an okay start, and they are always one of the favourites to get in that playoff picture come the end of the season. Middlesbrough have just found their feet a little bit in the Championship with their first win against Southampton, and they're doing all right in this competition, so I'm going to go for the away side. I do think Middlesbrough will keep going 2-1.
Yeah, as much as you can compare the form in their respective leagues, I feel like Middlesbrough, they need to get a good run together. They've just won their first game in the Championship, which was a good win, fair play to them, but they're coming up against a League Two side here. The quality difference should be really visible on the pitch, but you never know. There are always those cup sets. I do see Middlesbrough winning this one quite convincingly though. 3-0.
3-0, wow, okay, yeah, very convincing. Right, Sophie, down to London, an all-Premier League match-up this time. It's Brentford versus Arsenal. Arsenal obviously played on the Sunday, entertaining 2-2 draw with their rivals Tottenham Hotspur. It'd be interesting to see how far they can go in this competition. Another side that I think are capable of winning it. Brentford, for me, are a team that seem like a team that could be capable of winning a cup competition. Their recent results in the Premier League haven't been great. They obviously lost to Newcastle, and now it's a defeat against Everton, so they need a win somewhere to try and lift the confidence, but they've not been given a very nice draw here. I think Arsenal might just edge it. I do like the look of Arsenal and think, you know, they'll be in another title race. They'll try and run City close, and I think they could do quite well in the Champions League as well, and I think they will go through here. I'm going to go Brentford 0, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, just in recent weeks, I feel like Brentford have dropped off it a little bit, so they could be looking at this game as, okay, this is an opportunity to bounce back and then kind of use that form, carry it into the Prem. However, they're coming up against Arsenal, and Arsenal at times look very, very good, so I see Arsenal winning this one, but a tight game, 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Right, Sophie, staying in the capital, we've got an all-Premier League matchup again. It's Chelsea versus Brighton. Chelsea lost 1-0 to Aston Villa on the Sunday, as we mentioned. Brighton won 3-1 on the Sunday. When it comes to this competition, I think both have a decent chance of going quite far. Both obviously, you know, should be top half Prem teams. Chelsea, I'm just not 100% sure about at the moment. Like, when I watched them against Villa, I thought they played all right, which seems to be a recurring theme, but there's no ruthlessness about them in front of goal. They haven't got that out-and-out striker. They haven't got someone who's going to hit the ball a million miles per hour with their laces. They just seem to mess around at the edge of the box, and Brighton, even when they're not at their best, they can find a win. So whether Brighton turn up or not, I still think they're going to walk away with a win here and go through to the next round. Chelsea 0, Brighton 2.
See, I was really tempted to say 2-0, but I feel like it might be a little bit of a tighter game. I don't know if Brighton are going to go full strength. I feel like they might, to be honest with you, because, as you say, this is a competition that they could well win. They've just got Chelsea standing in their way at the moment, but Chelsea put in a couple good performances, but, as you say, not clinical enough, not ruthless enough, and they are lacking in that final third. So I don't see them getting any further in this competition. So Brighton 1-0.
Brighton 1-0. Okay, right, Sophie, let's go down to St James's Park, the Exeter City ground. Obviously 6th in League One at the moment. They're doing all right. They've had a good start. Be interesting to see if they could try and catch up to Plymouth Argyle and be the second Devon team in the Championship. They take on Luton Town in this competition, and Luton are obviously in the bottom 3 in the Premier League. It was a 1-1 draw against Wolves last time, so it's their first Premier League point. Basing it on performance, though, I think they should have won. Even before the red card, I thought Luton Town looked the better team. So there is a bit of a golfing class here, especially if Luton Town goes strong, which I think they should do, because why not? You know, try and keep that positivity, get a bit of a cup run going, get that winning feeling going. I think it'd be silly for Luton Town to go out of this competition at this stage. They are the favourites, and I think they should get through this. I think Exeter City can maybe give them a good game, because in theory this is a team doing well in League One, a team struggling at the bottom of the Prem. You know, they're not a million miles away. So I'm going to go Exeter 1, but Luton Town are going through with 2.
Okay, yeah, a little bit similar to the Everton one for me. I don't know whether they're going to prioritise the Prem and maybe rest a couple of players, but they really do need to get that winning feeling back. It's been a long time since they've had that. Coming up against Exeter, they might actually underestimate them a little bit and feel like, oh, we can still progress with resting players. But as you say, they're not in the worst form at the moment, and there are always those teams that you can underestimate and they go a little bit further. I don't see that happening in this case, though. I do see Luton progressing. I'm going to say 2-0.
2-0 Luton.
Yeah.
There you go. Right, Sophie, we're going back to the capital again, West London, for Fulham versus Norwich City. These two, for some years, were going past each other, weren't they? We had Fulham going up and Norwich coming down, and Norwich going up and Fulham coming down. They were yo-yoing past each other for some years, but last year that cycle broke. Fulham stayed in the Premier League, Norwich stayed in the Championship, and I think you can see a difference between them now. I think Fulham look like a Premier League team. You know, they've been picking up some good points already this season. Norwich at the weekend, by the way, lost 6-2 to Plymouth Argyle. So there seriously is problems there. Defensively, I think they look vulnerable. I know this is a cup game and anything could happen, but I'm going to go for Fulham to win. I think it should be routine, 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to say a little bit more routine and a bit of a goal fest for me. Fulham 4-1, purely because of the result at the weekend, but also other performances from Norwich. Their defence has looked a little bit shaky, so coming up against a Premier League team who are a lot more clinical and a lot more ruthless than the teams in the Championship, I feel like they could get punished here. So 4-1 for them.
4-1, wow, okay, interesting. Right, Sophie, to Portman Road we go. Now, I've not thrown in many surprises yet, but it's Ipswich Town of the Championship versus Premier League Wolves, and I don't see there being an awful amount between these two. Ipswich are flying, and obviously if they were to keep this up over a season, they could get into the Premier League. They look really good. There's always goals going in, and they've got the ability to keep clean sheets, but they've also got the ability to outscore opposition. They just seem like a very good team at everything, to be honest. Wolves, I watched them at Luton Town, and I thought they were okay. They showed that even when they're not at their best, they can make sure they can get something from it. And I think this could be one of those games where Ipswich maybe look slightly better. They've got the home advantage. They might really want this and fancy their chances at an upset here. But Wolves, depending on how strong they go, I could see them keeping it close. So I'm going to go for a really entertaining Ipswich 2, Wolves 2, and I'm going to give the penalty shootout to Wolves.
Do you know, I don't see this being that much of an upset, to be honest with you. I feel like Ipswich being the home side, the form they're in, could they even be tipped as the favourites or even odds? Possibly. I'm going to lean towards them anyway. I've been very, very impressed with them this season. Not very impressed with Wolves, although a couple of times they've put in a couple of okay performances. So it depends how strong they go, but I still see Ipswich winning this one. 3-2.
3-2, wow, we both think that'll be entertaining. We shall see. Right, Sophie, up to Sincil Bank. It's Lincoln City versus Premier League West Ham. Lincoln City currently sit mid-table in League One. I think they're a team that could maybe push for the playoffs this season. They're currently 13th. They take on West Ham, who have been very good at the start of the Premier League season, but they've lost their last 2 games. But we should mention they were against Man City and Liverpool, so it doesn't get much harder than that. West Ham obviously won a competition last year. Could they potentially have their eyes on winning a competition this year? I think they'll fancy their chances here. Lincoln City's not always an easy place to go, but I do think Premier League quality should come away with a win. So I'm going to go Lincoln 1, West Ham 3.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. West Ham, a little bit more of an easy game. Not saying that Lincoln won't be in it at all, but I just see the difference in quality being too much on the day. So West Ham win and progress for me. 3-0.
3-0, okay, interesting. Right, Sophie, I had to double take for a minute here. I thought this was an all Premier League matchup, but I've obviously forgotten. It's Liverpool versus Leicester, and Leicester are obviously a Championship team, but the way they're playing at the moment, they should be
back in the Premier League.
They should be back pretty soon. Honestly, I don't think Leicester City belong in the Championship. They just look out of place. And I think they will be returning to grounds like Anfield, the Etihad and Old Trafford next season. Can they cause an upset while they're in the Championship and win at a Premier League ground? Might be a bit of a stretch for this one. It depends though, because Jurgen Klopp is known for rotating in these competitions, so wouldn't be entirely surprised if Liverpool put in a load of kids and this game becomes quite even. I don't know. I still think Liverpool have got some very good kids, actually. They've got, very good young players. I'm going to go Liverpool to edge this 2-1.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to say 2-1 rather than their usual 3-1, just because it's a cup game. I do feel like there's going to be quite a lot of a squad rotation going on here. And Leicester, they are doing very, very well in the Championship, and I feel like they could go toe-to-toe in this game for a long time, but Liverpool have got the class to go ahead and progress for me. 2-1.
2-1. Right, Sophie, next we go to Old Trafford. It's Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, and this game will be playing out twice this week. We've got Man United versus Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, and then at the weekend we've got Man United versus Crystal Palace in the Premier League. So the Palace fans might as well stay in Manchester for the week. This is an interesting one. Manchester United in the Premier League just keep getting some wins. I mean, it wasn't totally convincing against Burnley, but they got the job done. Palace got a 0-0 draw against Fulham in the Premier League at the weekend. I think this will be tight, to be honest. It'll be a good indicator to see how this one goes, to maybe predict how the one at the weekend goes. But I've got to be honest, I actually want to tip Palace for both of them. I just think Manchester United get away with it sometimes, and I think Palace have a bit more of a ruthless streak than some of the teams Man United have played that they've beaten. So, Palace, you're going through. Man United 1, Palace 2. The holders of this competition are going out.
Okay, wow. I do see United winning this one. I see it being a close game, a little bit similar to the Burnley results, because I'm going to say a 1-0 United win. But I see this game being a really, really tight one. But as you say, Man United sometimes will just find a way to get the win over the line, and I see them doing it in this game. 1-0.
1-0 to Manchester United. Right, Sophie, next game's quite interesting here. From quite a few Premier League v Premier League teams, we go to Mansfield versus Peterborough, League 2 versus League 1. Mansfield are doing well in League 2, they're third in the division, but Peterborough are doing well in League 1, they're 8th, and we do associate them with being a top-end League 1 team that can score lots of goals, and they've been they've been promoted to the Championship a couple of times over previous seasons. This is really interesting. I love at this stage of the competition when you get two of the lower down teams locking horns, because one of them's going through and they're getting further in this competition. I don't think there's a lot in it. I think both sides should be licking their lips, but I'm going to hand it to the away side. I just think Peterborough being one division higher, maybe that bit of quality might just give it to them. Peterborough are going to round 4 with a 2-1 win.
Yeah, so I'm going to say a draw for this one, but Peterborough progress for me. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I feel like it could be quite not an evenly matched game, but quite a tight game, and that's why I'm going to stick with the draw. But Peterborough have enough to then progress for me.
Okay, interesting. Right, let's go to another all-Premier League matchup again, and this one is saucy. Newcastle United versus Manchester City, and Newcastle will be flying so high after that 8-0 win against Sheffield United. Manchester City, they did win at the weekend, 2-0 against Nottingham Forest, but their problems increasing a little bit with the red card for Rodri, and we've already heard about the players that they've got injured. I think if Newcastle really target this game, they will get through.
Yep.
Their confidence has got to be sky high right now. They did have a couple of defeats earlier in the season in the Premier League, and one of them was away at Man City 1-0. But now they're back in winning ways, and at home for this one, I think Newcastle go through. I'm going to say a low-scoring one here because Man City are better than Sheffield United, of course. So 1-0 to Newcastle.
See, I'm going to say a bit of a high-scoring one. I'm going to say a 2-2 draw for me, and then Man City progress. And I feel like it'll be against the run of play. I feel like Newcastle confidence will be absolutely sky-high going into this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did progress, but just Man City always find a way of turning it around and getting through even when you don't expect it. So for me, it ends a draw, but Man City progress.
Okay, interesting. Right, back to another League 1 versus League 2 match. This is Port Vale versus Sutton, and Sutton are easily the lowest ranked team in this competition because they are bottom of League 2. They're 24th, whereas Port Vale have had a really good start in League 1, and who knows, imagine if they could get to the Championship. I really want to see Port Vale versus Stoke City. Yeah. Just desperate for that matchup. I really like Port Vale. I think they're flying, and credit to Sutton for getting this far, and it'd be great to see them staying in the Football League, but I really fancy Port Vale here. They've got to be licking their lips at the prospect of round 4. Port Vale 2-0
Port Vale 3-0 for me. I see it being a little bit more convincing. I don't see them conceding against Sutton, which would be a shame because it would be nice to see Sutton go through, but I can't see it happening. So 3-0 Port Vale for me.
Yeah, I fancy Port Vale, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
Do share your thoughts on that one. One game left then, and we go to Salford City versus Burnley. Burnley, obviously, bottom of the Premier League, or, well, not now actually.
Joint.
Sheffield United have now gone below them with the 8-0 win. So Burnley are 19th in the Premier League, and they take on Salford, who are usually strong favourites in League Two, but they're actually in the bottom 6 at the moment, so they've had a pretty slow start, Salford City. 3 divisions between them. I do think the difference will tell. I know Salford got past, I think, Leeds United in the last round, which is a really good result, but I think Burnley should be streets ahead here. Vincent Kompany has got, plenty of players to tinker with for this one, and he plays attacking football, so I don't think they're going to have problems scoring. I'm going to go 2-0 Burnley.
See, I see this being quite a convincing one. Again, this is another team that needs to get that winning feeling back. They should be looking at this as an easy win. It's a little bit offensive, but I do see it being the case, to be honest. So Burnley 4-0 for me.
4-0, okay, interesting. So that wraps up our Carabao Cup Round 3 predictions. Do make sure to get your predictions down below for that one. As I say, please do make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more football content. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you all in the next one. Peace out.